Titanic, 1997, was not just a film about a doomed ship. It was also the stage for incredibly talented stars whose lives were marked by tragedy. Gloria Stewart, Bill Paxton, Bernard Hill. These are names that left us amid sorrow, from cruel illnesses to shocking, sudden deaths. Behind the spotlight were real-life dramas, secrets, and losses that make it impossible to look away. Let's explore the hidden stories behind the actors of Titanic and honor the legacy they left behind. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's go. Gloria Stewart as Rose Dawson Calvert. Gloria Stewart was born on July 4, 1910, in Santa Monica, California. When she appeared in Titanic in 1997, she was 87 years old and took on the role of Rose Dawson Calvert, the elderly woman quietly recounting her haunting love story and the terrifying disaster of the Titanic. With eyes that reflected the passage of time and a voice as soft as a breeze, Gloria moved millions of viewers around the world to tears. But behind the fragile image of old Rose was a life that stretched nearly a century, filled with ups and downs. From her high school years, Gloria had already fallen in love with the stage. She stepped into Hollywood in the early 1930s and quickly became one of the most sought-after faces of the time. She shone in films like The Invisible Man, 1933, and The Old Dark House, 1932, sharing the screen with many of the era's big names. But like so many other stars of Hollywood's golden age, that glory didn't last forever. Dull roles and uninspiring scripts gradually dimmed her presence on screen. By the late 1940s, Gloria chose to step away from the limelight, dedicating nearly 3 decades to the world of painting, bonsai, and handicrafts. She once shared that it was among her canvases and tiny plants that she finally found peace after the storms of her acting career. And yet, fate had a surprise in store. In the twilight of her life, with hair turned completely white, Gloria received a call from James Cameron's team. After just a few auditions, she won over both the director and audiences with the presence and depth that only a lifetime of experience could bring. Her role as Old Rose made her the oldest person ever nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, earning her numerous awards and thunderous applause from colleagues and fans alike. Gloria's personal life was quieter than her on-screen roles. She went through 2 marriages, and her relationship with screenwriter Arthur Sheikman was seen as her greatest happiness. After his passing, she found late-in-life love with book designer Ward Ritchie, with whom she stayed until the end of his life. Gloria Stewart passed away on September 26, 2010, at the age of 100. She died peacefully of respiratory failure after years of battling lung cancer, which she had developed in her 90s. At the time of her passing, her net worth was estimated at around $2 million, a figure that pales in comparison to the immense artistic and spiritual legacy she left for the world. Bill Paxton as Brock Lovett. Bill Paxton was born on May 17, 1955, in Fort Worth, Texas. When he appeared in Titanic in 1997, he was 42 years old and played Brock Lovett, the famous treasure hunter searching for the heart of the ocean diamond in the wreck of the Titanic. It was Brock's journey that opened the door to Rose's heartbreaking romantic tale, connecting the past to the present and guiding viewers through one of cinema's most moving love stories. But behind the sharp gaze and confident demeanor of the treasure hunter was a Bill Paxton who had struggled and stumbled in real life. When he was just 8 years old, Bill was lifted above a crowd so he could catch a glimpse of President John F. Kennedy in Fort Worth, just hours before Kennedy was assassinated. Entering Hollywood, Bill wasn't welcomed with open arms. He worked in the props department, built sets, and even waited tables in Beverly Hills as he chased his dream of acting. Through sheer perseverance and an indomitable spirit, Bill gradually proved himself with memorable roles. The soldier Hudson in Aliens, with the now iconic line, "Game over, man." The storm chaser in Twister, the astronaut in Apollo 13, and the tough cop in Edge of Tomorrow. He became a trusted collaborator and close friend of director James Cameron, a bond that Bill once admitted came with its challenges, as working under Cameron's extreme perfectionism was often a grueling experience, especially during the tense and stormy filming of Titanic. Off-screen, Bill's life seemed peaceful. He found happiness with his wife Louise Newberry, whom he met on a London bus, and the couple raised 2 children he adored. Yet his relentless work ethic and inability to slow down quietly took a toll on his health. A childhood case of rheumatic fever had left his heart weakened. In early 2017, Bill underwent surgery to repair a heart valve and address an aortic aneurysm. What seemed like a hopeful recovery turned tragic. Just days after the operation, Bill Paxton died suddenly from a stroke at age 61. His estimated net worth was around $25 million. His death was not just a personal loss, but also sparked national debate. His family sued the hospital and surgeon, alleging negligence and lack of transparency cost Bill his life. A legal battle that dragged on for years before quietly ending in private settlements. Bernard Hill as Captain, Edward John Smith. Bernard Hill was born on December 17, 1944, in Blackley, Manchester. When he appeared in Titanic in 1997, he was 52 years old and brought to life Captain Edward John Smith, the great commander of the ill-fated ship. With a distant gaze and calm demeanor amid panic and crashing waves, his character captured the image of a leader who accepted his fate, standing at the edge of honor and death, a figure no one can forget when speaking of the Titanic. Born into a poor working-class family in the industrial heartland of England, Bernard grew up surrounded by the harsh realities of miners' lives. His childhood was far from glamorous, just days spent in a workers' neighborhood alongside hard-working parents, shaped by a simple Catholic faith that nourished his spirit. Acting wasn't his first calling. He initially studied to become a teacher, but it was a classmate, Mike Lee, who would later become a famous director, who steered Bernard towards the stage. That moment set him on a lifelong path in the arts. His career was anything but easy. Starting in theater, Bernard spent years taking small television roles before earning nationwide recognition as Yoser Hughes in Boys from the Black Stuff. The character's desperate plea, "Giz a job, give me a job," became the voice of millions of unemployed Britons during the Thatcher era, turning Bernard into an unofficial symbol of that period in history. But with that fame came pressure. Bernard admitted that playing historical, heroic, or tragic figures like Captain Smith or King Theoden in The Lord of the Rings often kept him awake at night, as he worried about doing justice to the greatness of the people he portrayed. Off-screen, Bernard Hill lived a quiet, unassuming life, far removed from the scandals of show business. He experienced 2 great loves, had a son and a daughter, but rarely spoke of his family in public. He lived as a true artist, passionate about stage, film, and storytelling in every role he took on. In his final years, Bernard lived quietly in a small village in Suffolk. When he passed away in May 2024 at the age of 79, his net worth was estimated at around $5 million, not a vast fortune compared to the legendary films he helped create. David Warner as Spicer Lovejoy. David Warner was born on July 29, 1941, in Manchester, England. When he appeared in Titanic in 1997, he was 56 years old and played Spicer Lovejoy, the cold, fiercely loyal bodyguard to Cal Hockley, always lurking in the shadows, watching Jack and Rose. Although Lovejoy wasn't a lead character, every time he appeared with that suspicious gaze and silent predatory step, he added a sense of invisible threat to the romantic drama unfolding on the stormy seas. Warner's own presence turned this secondary villain into a haunting figure aboard the doomed ship. David's life was a journey marked by emotional scars as well as artistic brilliance. Born into a broken family, he grew up amid separations, shuttled between parents and unfamiliar boarding schools. That unsettled childhood forged a deep, complex inner world. From Hamlet on Shakespeare's stage to villains in Tron, time after time, and then as Spicer Lovejoy in Titanic. David Warner left audiences chilled with the raw honesty in every look and line he delivered. Yet behind the curtain, David struggled with his own inner darkness. Depression, anxiety, and the loneliness that came from a life spent traveling for work, often far from family and friends. In his final years, as his health declined due to cancer he kept private, David never stopped working. He passed away quietly on July 24, 2022, just days before what would have been his 81st birthday. His net worth was estimated at about $3 million, a modest sum for more than half a century of dedication to stage, screen, and television. Bernard Fox as Colonel Archibald Gracie IV. Bernard Fox, born Bernard Lawson on May 11, 1927, in Port Talbot, Wales, was 70 years old when he appeared in Titanic in 1997. He played Colonel Archibald Gracie IV, the calm, courageous gentleman who tried to maintain order amid the chaos aboard the doomed ship. Though his screen time was limited, Gracie's dignified appearance, steady gaze, and calls for calm in the face of death left a lasting impression on viewers. Coming from a family with a theatrical tradition, Bernard was introduced to the stage at a young age, making his debut at just 18 months old. His childhood was shaped not only by the arts, but also by memories of brutal wartime. During World War II, as a young man, he lived through air raid sirens and bombings while Britain stood against Nazi attacks. After the war, he served in the Royal Navy and later took part in the Korean War before returning to acting. Over a career spanning more than 70 years, Bernard Fox quietly enriched countless films and television series with his sincerity and unique charm. From the mischievous Dr. Bombay in Bewitched to the bumbling Colonel Crittenden in Hogan's Heroes, and then as Archibald Gracie in Titanic, Bernard's mere presence, a sly grin or well-timed line, was enough to win audiences' hearts. His personal life mirrored his screen persona, devoted to both his craft and his small, loving family with 2 daughters. In Hollywood's fierce and glittering world, Bernard once said that the harshness of the industry could be exhausting at times. But he never lost his passion for acting. He worked until late in life, appearing in films and attending reunions until his health no longer allowed. On December 14, 2016, Bernard Fox passed away at age 89 from heart failure, a gentle end to a life of dedication. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around $2 million. Elsa Raven as Ida Strauss. Elsa Raven, born Elsa Rabinowitz on September 21, 1929 in the United States, was 68 years old when she appeared in Titanic in 1997. She portrayed Ida Strauss, the devoted wife of businessman Isidor Strauss. In the ship's final moments as it sank into the ocean's depths, Ida famously refused a spot on a lifeboat, choosing instead to stay with her husband. Though brief, the scene, marked by Elsa's trembling yet steadfast embrace and soulful gaze, moved millions of viewers to tears. Born into a family of Jewish immigrants, Elsa grew up facing financial hardship and the harsh realities that American society at the time often imposed on immigrants. But it was that very environment that forged in her a resilient spirit. Elsa chose the path of acting, tirelessly working in supporting roles, often in fleeting parts like the woman urging, "Save the clock tower" in Back to the Future, or in series such as Amen and Wise Guy. She once admitted that persevering in small roles in a glittering Hollywood, where fame and the spotlight usually belong to big stars, was never easy. But Elsa accepted that, quietly contributing to the art form with sincerity and humility. Off-screen, Elsa Raven lived a low-profile, scandal-free life. She was deeply connected to her community, stayed true to her Jewish faith, and devoted much of her time to her craft and her family. On November 2, 2020, Elsa passed away at the age of 91 due to natural causes. Her net worth at the time of her death was estimated at about $1 million. Lou Palter as Isidore Strauss. Lou Palter, born Leon Louis Palter on November 3, 1928, in Brooklyn, New York, was 69 years old when he appeared in Titanic in 1997. His moving portrayal of Isidore Strauss, the co-owner of the famous Macy's department store and the devoted husband of Ida Strauss, left a lasting mark. The image of Isidore and Ida clinging to each other as the Titanic sank into the freezing ocean became one of the film's most heartbreaking scenes, bringing audiences to silence and tears. With sensitivity and authenticity, Lou managed to convey the courage, love, and nobility of this real-life figure despite appearing for only a few minutes. Lou Palter's artistic journey was not one of Hollywood's dazzling lights, but rather one of quiet, enduring impact. He began on the New York stage, directed many off-Broadway productions, and took on dozens of guest roles on television in shows like Columbo, The $6 Million Man, Gunsmoke Mission, Impossible, and The A-Team. These supporting parts never brought him widespread fame, but Lou found deeper meaning in teaching. Starting in 1971, he dedicated himself to CalArts, inspiring generations of actors, including Don Cheadle, Ed Harris, and Cecily Strong. Lou once said that his greatest joy was seeing his students shine, for they were the ones fulfilling the dream he had quietly nurtured. In his personal life, Lou Palter kept things simple and private. He was married to actress and costume designer Nancy Vaughter for 64 years, until her passing in 2020, and together they raised 2 daughters, sharing the ups and downs of artistic life. On May 21, 2023, Lou Palter died at home in Los Angeles after battling lung cancer. His net worth at the time of his passing was estimated at about $1.5 million, a modest sum compared to the true value of his legacy, the thousands of students he inspired, and the deeply human characters he brought to life. Kate Winslet as Rose DeWitt Bukater. Kate Elizabeth Winslet was born on October 5, 1975, in Reading, Berkshire. When she played Rose DeWitt Bukater in Titanic, 1997, she was just 21 years old. The role catapulted her from a promising young actress to a global icon. In the film, Winslet portrayed a young woman from the upper class, trapped by the rigid rules of her family and society, who finds love, freedom, and liberation through her romance with the struggling artist Jack Dawson. The image of Rose standing at the bow of the ship, arms wide open to the endless sky and sea, has become one of the most enduring symbols in cinema. But behind the glamour was a journey filled with challenges. During filming, Winslet nearly drowned when she was caught in heavy metal doors under the icy water, and she injured her elbow in a chaotic scene. When Titanic was released and became a worldwide phenomenon, the weight of sudden fame hit her hard. As a young woman, she faced depression and mental struggles, admitting later that public scrutiny over her appearance and relentless pressure to maintain beauty standards haunted her, especially harsh criticism about her weight during the early years of her career. Her personal life, too, has had its ups and downs. Winslet has been married 3 times, first to Jim Threppleton, then Sam Mendes, and now Edward Abel Smith, with each marriage drawing media attention. Yet, despite personal storms, Winslet has stood strong, raising her 3 children while building an impressive acting career. She often turned down major roles if they meant spending too much time away from her kids, always prioritizing her role as a mother. By 2025, at 49 years old, Kate Winslet remains admired for her strength and compassion. She is active in charity work, fights against body shaming, and founded the Golden Hat Foundation to raise awareness about autism. Her net worth is estimated at around $65 million. Winslet continues to shine as an A-list star and a symbol of resilience and kindness in real life. Leonardo DiCaprio as Jack Dawson. Leonardo Wilhelm DiCaprio was born on November 11, 1974, in Los Angeles, California. When he appeared in Titanic in 1997, he was 22 years old and captured the hearts of millions worldwide as Jack Dawson. In this legendary film, DiCaprio played a poor but free-spirited and compassionate artist who experiences a once-in-a-lifetime love with Rose and ultimately sacrifices his life for her. The role of Jack propelled DiCaprio from a talented young star to a global superstar and symbol of a generation. Behind the glamour, however, DiCaprio faced significant challenges. The overwhelming success of Titanic brought him fame beyond anything he had imagined, but also crushing pressure. He later admitted that during this period, he struggled with an identity crisis, torn between being seen as a romantic prince and his desire to be recognized as a serious actor. Determined to break free from Jack Dawson's towering shadow, DiCaprio sought out more complex and gritty roles, like Frank Abagnale Jr., the brilliant con man in Catch Me If You Can, 2002, and Amsterdam Vallen, the revenge-driven young man in Gangs of New York, 2002. Alongside his artistic pursuits, DiCaprio also encountered real-life dangers. He narrowly escaped death on several occasions, once when a shark attacked him while diving, another time during a skydiving mishap where both his parachutes failed, and again when he survived a plane engine explosion. In the years following Titanic, he became known for his lavish parties and hedonistic lifestyle, drawing sharp media criticism. His highly publicized relationships with young models further fueled his reputation as an eternal bachelor. Yet through it all, DiCaprio worked tirelessly to prove himself, delivering acclaimed performances as eccentric tycoon Howard Hughes in The Aviator, 2004, which earned him a Golden Globe, and as mercenary Danny Archer in Blood Diamond, 2006, where he portrayed a hardened man grappling with his conscience amid the horrors of the Blood Diamond trade. By 2025, at 50 years old, Leonardo DiCaprio's net worth is estimated at around $300 million thanks to major successes like Inception, 2010, The Wolf of Wall Street, 2013, The Revenant, 2015, which finally brought him his first Oscar, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019. Despite dark periods and frequent scandals, DiCaprio has solidified his position as one of the most successful and influential figures in modern Hollywood. Billy Zane as Cal Hockley. William George Zayn Jr. was born on February 24, 1966, in Chicago. When he appeared in Titanic in 1997, he was 31 years old and made a lasting impression as Caledon Hockley, Rose's wealthy, domineering fiancé and one of the film's main antagonists. The role earned him a SAG Award nomination alongside the ensemble cast and etched the image of the arrogant tycoon into the minds of audiences around the world. Before Titanic, Zayn had gained some attention playing Kit Walker in The Phantom, 1996, portraying a classic superhero. Unfortunately, the film fell short of expectations, and his career stalled just before it could hit its peak. While Titanic catapulted him to global fame, Zayn struggled to find roles that matched its success. He appeared in Cleopatra, 1999, as Mark Antony and The Believer, 2001, as neo-Nazi Curtis Zampf, but neither role could sustain his superstar status. Billy Zane's personal life has also seen its share of turbulence. After his first marriage to actress Lisa Collins, 1989 to 1995, he became engaged to actresses like Leonor Varela and Kelly Brook, but those relationships ended publicly and noisily. His romance with Kelly Brook, his co-star in Survival Island, 2005, was especially high-profile, with frequent breakups and reconciliations dominating tabloid headlines. His complex private life and custody disputes have often kept his name in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. Professionally, Zayn continued working steadily, though mostly in supporting roles or independent films, and made notable appearances on television. He also ventured onto Broadway, earning praise for his turn in Chicago, 2002. However, he has sometimes drawn criticism for what some saw as arrogance in interviews and at public events. Although Zayn avoided scandals involving substance abuse or serious accidents, fans have expressed regret that his career after Titanic didn't reach the heights once anticipated. By 2025, at 59 years old, his net worth is estimated at around $20 million, accumulated through acting, producing, and art. He's also known as an abstract painter, with several solo exhibitions to his name. Kathy Bates as Margaret Molly Brown. Kathleen Doyle Bates was born on June 28, 1948, in Memphis, Tennessee, and is a veteran Hollywood actress with a career spanning over 50 years. When she appeared in Titanic in 1997, she was 49 years old and portrayed Margaret Molly Brown, a warm, strong-willed woman who brought heart and humor to the tragedy. Her character, inspired by the real-life, unsinkable Molly Brown, became a loyal friend and supporter to Jack and Rose, leaving a special mark on audiences worldwide. Before Titanic, Bates was already celebrated for her role as Annie Wilkes in Misery, 1990, a career-defining performance that won her an Oscar and etched her in film history as one of cinema's most chilling figures, thanks to her unmatched ability to shift a character's psychology in an instant. Yet, after that victory, Bates admitted she fell into a period of emotional turmoil, feeling forgotten by Hollywood and struggling to find roles worthy of her talent. She continued to shine in films like Fried Green Tomatoes, 1991, Dolores Claiborne, 1995, and Primary Colors, 1998, proving her depth through powerful supporting characters. Bates's life has been filled with trials and hardships. She battled ovarian cancer in 2003 and breast cancer in 2012. After undergoing a double mastectomy, she developed lymphedema, a condition that left her arms painfully swollen and severely impacted her daily life. Rather than retreat, Bates became a passionate advocate for lymphedema awareness and research funding. While she avoided public scandals, she openly spoke about her struggles with depression, especially during the height of her fame, when she felt crushed by the weight of expectations and loneliness. By 2025, at 76 years old, Bates remains devoted to her craft. From American Horror Story, 2013 to 2016, to Matlock, 2024, she has continued to deliver iconic performances. Her net worth is estimated at around $20 million, built on standout projects like Misery, Titanic, and American Horror Story. Eric Braden as John Jacob Astor IV. Eric Braden, born Hans-Jörg Gudegast in 1941 in Bredenbeck, Germany, was 56 years old when he portrayed John Jacob Astor IV in Titanic, 1997. Braden brought dignity and elegance to the role of one of the wealthiest men aboard the doomed ship. Though his screen time was limited, his presence at the opulent parties and in the final moments of the sinking left a lasting impression. A refined gentleman who remained composed amid the chaos. Braden's career path was far from easy. After arriving in the United States, he faced skepticism and discrimination due to his German background in the post-war years. Time and again, he was typecast as cold, villainous German officers simply because of his accent and European features. To overcome this, he changed his name to Eric Braden, a more accessible name for American audiences, and landed his breakthrough lead role in Colossus, The Forbin Project, 1970. Even as he approached 80 by 2025, Braden remained active and resilient. In 2023, he revealed that he had been diagnosed with bladder cancer. Facing the illness with the same fortitude as his iconic character Victor Newman, he soon shared the good news that he had beaten the disease and continued working. Braden's net worth is estimated at about $25 million, the reward of more than 6 decades of tireless dedication to his craft. Michael Enson as Benjamin Guggenheim. Michael Enson, born in 1944 in Safford, Arizona, is one of those familiar faces in film and television that make audiences say, "Oh, it's him," even if they don't always remember his name. When he played Benjamin Guggenheim in Titanic, 1997, at 53 years old, Enson's deep voice and distinguished air perfectly suited the role. His brief appearances at the lavish parties and as a refined gentleman amid the upper-class passengers contributed to the grand, tragic tapestry of the ship's story. Michael Enson's career spans hundreds of supporting roles, from Ghostbusters, 1984, and War Games, 1983, to series like Star Trek, MASH, CSI, and The X-Files. He represents the classic hard-working character actor, reliable, persistent, and rarely in the spotlight. Enson himself spoke of the pressures of being typecast in roles like wealthy elites, doctors, officers, or professors, always polished, but with little room to explore deeper emotional layers. Before conquering Hollywood, Enson spent the first decade of his career on the British stage. As a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company, he performed in prestigious productions like As You Like It, Love's Labour's Lost, and Cymbeline. On screen, whether as the proud Benjamin Guggenheim aboard the Titanic, or the sinister voice of nefarious Tropy in Crash Bandicoot, Enson brought care and precision to every detail. By 2025, at 81 years old, Michael Enson remains remembered as a steadfast building block of major films and TV series, with a net worth of around $3 million, a fitting reward for a steady, dedicated career. The journeys of Titanic's cast are powerful examples of how talent, tragedy, and lasting legacies intertwine. From the heartbreaking losses of Gloria Stewart and Bill Paxton to stars like Kate Winslet who continue to shine, each story leaves a lasting impression. Which character from Titanic touched you the most? Share your thoughts and hit follow to uncover more emotional secrets from the world of cinema.